A BBC survey has uncovered real concern among teachers about what to do when pupils suggest to staff that they are trans or non-binary, in other words, that they don't identify as either sex. Let's talk to Julie McCulloch, who's Director of Policy at the Association of School and College Leaders. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Justin.
What do teachers want? What do they need?
This is a growing issue in our schools and colleges. I think your correspondent earlier mentioned that this is something that leaders and teachers have been asking for about 5 years now. What they need is clear, impartial guidance from the government that sets out how they're expected to approach the many decisions that are thrown up when a child identifies as trans or is questioning their gender identity. You know, there are a huge number of organisations now that have produced guidance for schools on this issue, but those organisations take very different views from each other, and many of their recommendations contradict what other groups are saying. So what schools need is that clear guidance from the government that they can follow. Yeah,
one of the issues is this, isn't it? Teachers are asking what to do. There's a deeper question, isn't there, which is why we have got into this situation and the extent to which schools are able to, as it were, to hit back.
I mean, I think there's undoubtedly all sorts of things going on under the surface here. You know, the research that the BBC's carried out shows that there are now very large numbers of teachers and leaders who teach children who are trans or who are non-binary or who are questioning their gender. I'm not a psychologist. You know, I wouldn't try to guess what the reasons behind that are.
No, but I suppose
it's kind of the impact it has on schools.
Well, exactly. But it's a wider social thing, isn't it? So, for instance, if a child is troubled about their body, particularly girls, is anorexic or bulimic, treatment is sought, often rather late in the day, but nonetheless treatment is sought. But there is talk of affirmation, isn't there, when it comes to these things? And that for teachers is desperately confusing, because quite often these pupils will need help rather than affirmation.
I mean, I think what teachers and leaders are having to deal with is a whole combination of things there. It's questions about the reasons behind why many more children are identifying this way, but there are also just a whole range of practical decisions that they have to take. You know, imagine you're a secondary school head teacher. One of your pupils, say a 15-year-old boy, now identifies as a girl. There's a whole load of decisions you then need to make. You know, you need to decide whether that child should still have to use boys' toilets and changing rooms, whether they could change with the girls, whether you need to create a separate space for them. You need to think about how they should be accommodated on residential trips and who should know about their birth sex. There's lots of questions about PE and sports, you know, contact sports, competitions. And then, you know, probably the most difficult issue of all, if that child doesn't want their parents to know that they're identifying as a girl, you as a teacher, as a school leader, you've got a really difficult decision there about whether you respect that or whether you tell their parents anyway. These are the sorts of issues that schools need guidance on.
And people will have enormous sympathy for teachers in all of those situations. Is there also a degree, though, to which particularly sex education teaching and biology teaching has assisted us in getting to this situation? You know, when we talk about sex assigned at birth or women having penises and all the rest of it, that actually the materials that children are seeing and sometimes in schools are not helping.
There's certainly a lot of debate at the moment about relationships and sex education. There's a lot of heat around this at the moment. So some of your listeners will be aware that the Conservative MP Miriam Cates, for example, has put together what she calls a dossier, I think, of materials that she thinks are being taught in schools. That's not something that we recognise as being widespread amongst the school leaders that we talk to. You know, we think most school leaders and teachers are very cautious about what they teach in sex education, particularly, and very mindful of the sensitivities around all of that. But, you know, inevitably, all of this is hugely contentious. It's something that's shifting quite dramatically in our society. It's something that parents are understandably concerned about, and I think that's why we need this conversation about what do we as a society believe is the right thing to do here, and what's the role of schools in that.
Julie McCulloch, Director of Policy at the Association of School and College Leaders. Thank you very much.